the end of time, when the universe teeters on the edge of its final moments, two beings stand as the last remnants of existence, Franklin Richards and Galactus. These two timeless entities, bound by an eternity of companionship, face the inevitable end of their shared reality. Galactus breaks the silence, his deep, resonant voice asking, "Are you ready?" Franklin Richards hesitates, his reply revealing the weight of his role. "Yes, no, final entropy isn't yet complete. I can sense a few last living particles here and there. There are two left in the Andromeda Galaxy, each terrified of leaving the other alone." Even as the universe collapses, life clings on, small, fragile, yet defiant. Galactus, the harbinger of cosmic cycles, reassures him. "We have a little time before the universe dies. What troubles you?" Franklin, a being who has seen and shaped countless realities, speaks from his heart. "For one thing, we've known each other for billions of years. I'll miss you. You're not afraid to die?" To this, Galactus, the devourer of worlds, responds with unwavering resolve. "It is my purpose. My energies are all that remain to create the next universe, your new home." Franklin's voice quivers, a rare vulnerability showing through. "After I move on, I'll still have my memories, won't I? Sorry, you don't know for sure. I get that. But if it's all forgotten, then how did any of it matter in the end? I want the history of this universe to have meant something. It's important to me." In his final moments, Franklin's plea echoes the sentiment of all life, a need for meaning, for legacy. "Before I go, help me remember." Galactus pauses, his immense presence emanating a deep understanding of Franklin's wish. "Remember what?" Franklin's answer is simple yet profound. "Everything." And with that, Galactus agrees. "Very well." Here, at the twilight of existence, we are reminded of the importance of memory, of history, and of meaning. Even in the face of an ending, the desire to preserve and honor what came before remains eternal. Your universe was created from the eruption of another dying reality. It was into this new existence that I, its sole human survivor, Galen of Ta, emerged, without shape, without form. With that eruption came echoes of energies, echoes of consciousnesses, which coalesced into cosmic beings embodying the sentience of this universe abhorring. Many of these abstracts, eternity, master order, Lord Chaos, and death, joined the multiversal living tribunal to watch as I entered my cosmic crucible, where I began the long process of transforming into something more than mortal. Birthed too from the maelstrom of creation were 6 stones of unspeakable power. They would come to be known as the Infinity Gems. Meanwhile, the building blocks of this universe began to coalesce into stars and planets. From my previous home, other vestiges remained. One was known as the Phoenix Force, a manifestation of the prime universal force of life. Matter gathered beneath the other, the Macrane crystal, forming the universe's first planet. Across the cosmos, life began to develop, the Acanti among the first. The Acanti were the first curious sentients, passive beings roaming intergalactic space in pursuit of knowledge. The Celestials were more aggressive. They chose the role of influencers, and their impact would be felt time and again as they began seeding and manipulating life throughout the galaxy. The earliest species of their creation were short-lived, but did not die in the traditional sense. The last of each, the self-named elders of the universe, drew upon the waning life energies of their people to create a shared power primordial. This gave the elders virtual immortality, allowing their races to live on in spirit. Eternity begat Eon, an other-dimensional master of quantum energy who was tasked with appointing protectors of the universe. Among the oldest species in existence was that of the Watchers of the planet T-37X, at first eager to share their incalculable wisdom with a younger civilization. They looked on as their immature recipients twisted their knowledge into weapons of war, destroying themselves. Consequently, the Watchers made a solemn vow to never again interfere with life in any form. A dark galaxy spawned the insectoid race called the Brood, the universe's first natural predators. They began intergalactic conquest by enslaving the Acanti before infesting neighboring star systems and building a fearsome empire. Meanwhile, I emerged from my incubator as the being I am today, Galactus, the devourer of worlds. Traveling in my world ship, Ta-2, I sought to quell my insatiable appetite for energy. Around an otherwise unremarkable yellow star, the Earth formed. Among its first living beings were the elder gods, Gaia, the mother of Earth, Oshur, giver of light and justice, Set, the great destroyer, and Chthon, the mystic of dark magic, whose spells would survive for eons on indestructible scrolls. Yggdrasil, the world tree, sprouted, an energy field that supported and connected adjoining dimensions. Yggdrasil was instrumental in the creation of the Asgardian gods, whose civilization would routinely be obliterated and rebuilt in a cycle called Ragnarok. Demons strode the young earth, primary among them the beast, bringer of nihilism. Though his influence was at first minimal, it would one day manifest in a most vicious manner. The celestial known as the progenitor crash-landed on Earth as a result of a sentient infection known as the Horde. After dying beneath the Arctic ice, it would become known as Celestial Zero. Elsewhere in the Andromeda Galaxy, the Celestials performed genetic experiments on a reptilian race, creating the shape-shifting Skrulls, whose warlike nature would eventually threaten the Earth time and again. Another strain of aliens, the Nuali, used advanced science to create a game preserve in Earth's Antarctic region. It was stocked with earthly life of the time, including early dinosaurs. Though Earth's fauna and flora would transform greatly over the next hundreds of millennia, this secret savage land would remain unevolved. Across the cosmos, on the planet Chandilar, an avian-descended humanoid race called the Shi'ar embraced the art of war. Eventually, they would command the largest empire in the known universe. On the planet Hala in the Large Magellanic Cloud, an eons-old race called the Progenitors experimented on the primitive Kree, creating blue-skinned, purebred Kree and a larger tribe of pale-skinned savages who were later visited by the Skrulls. The Skrulls offered the Pale Kree technology in exchange for planetary resources, testing their mettle by having them build an outpost on Earth's moon. This blue area would long go uninhabited after the Kree turned on the Skrulls, sparking a war between their worlds that would last for millennia. In the Andromeda Galaxy, the planet Xandar, wary of the Shi'ar and other empires, created its defense with the universe's first space militia, the Nova Corps, overseen by the World Mind, a sentient supercomputer containing the accumulated knowledge of all Xandar. The Celestials, intrigued by the malleability of the human race, sent the first host to perform genetic experiments that yielded the advanced Eternals and the grotesque Deviants. The Eternals, led by Kronos, secluded themselves in order to secretly protect Earth with their newfound abilities, while the brutish Deviants established an empire in the kingdom of Lemuria. The rest of the planet was not without its native protectors, however. An Asgardian god named Odin, nearing the end of his most recent life cycle, would travel to Earth to join Agamotto, Black Panther, Ghost Rider, Iron Fist, Lady Phoenix, and Starbrand. Together, they would be the first Avengers. Other races became aware of the genetic potential invested in various species by the Celestials. The Kree mutated various races across the universe to serve as soldiers. One such group, drawn from the human race and known as the Inhumans, made their home in the island city of Attilan. Tuk, the first offspring of the Inhumans, lived among the mortals. His unique genetic code, passed down through generations, increased ordinary humans' susceptibility to mutation. The Plodex sent an unattended bioship to Earth to begin their own experiments. The lone human who discovered the ship, Eshu, became its test subject for forced evolution. The 30,000-year process was agonizing and resulted in Eshu having to create his own genetically perfect body. Thereafter, he referred to himself as the master of the world. Humans discovered Chthon's long-lost scrolls and used them to create Varney, the first vampire. Shortly thereafter, the Celestials appeared once again, their second host having judged the deviants as failures. The Celestials created a great cataclysm massive enough that it not only sank Lemuria beneath the waves, but also plunged the continent of Atlantis to the ocean's floor. A mere fraction of their inhabitants survived after adapting their bodies to life under the sea as water breathers. Elsewhere, mortal civilizations began to recognize a new generation of gods: Anunnaki, Egyptian, Olympian, and more. The Asgardians, worshipped by the Norse, emerged from their most recent Ragnarok cycle, reborn. Mysticism on Earth flourished as Agamotto, after many millennia, passed on his title of Sorcerer Supreme to another. Immortality manifested twice in relatively short order. In Central Europe, with a superhuman named Selene Gallio, one of Earth's first mutants, and 7,000 years later in Scandinavia, where a hunter tried to save his tribe from a fragment of unearthly crystal by absorbing it into his chest, becoming Ulysses' Bloodstone. Thousands of years after it sank, the ruins of Atlantis were rebuilt by the descendants of the original water breathers, creating a vast kingdom for their people. In order to escape discovery by the growing human race, the Inhumans relocated their city to the Himalayas, terming it the Great Refuge. When a giant meteor smashed into the jungles of the African nation of Wakanda, Earth was saved from an extinction event, due only to the meteor's ability to absorb all vibration. Some were further elevated with the mutagenic Terrigen mists, which visited them with great powers. With few Inhumans willing to perform manual labor, an artificial servant caste called the Alpha Primitives was created to serve them. Named Vibranium by the Wakandans, it would in the centuries ahead become one of the planet's most valuable resources. Upon Kronos' passing, his sons, Zurus and Alars, created the Unimind, a brain-like organism comprising the psionic and cosmic energies of their people, to avoid disunity. Zurus and Alars divided the task of leadership. Zurus remained with his subjects on Earth while Alars settled on Saturn's moon, Titan, fathering a race of Titanian Eternals and adopting a new name, Mentor. As the Titanians flourished, to Mentor and Suisan, two children were born, the carefree Eros and the grotesque Thanos, who would later become a universal menace of singular power and vision. In a remote region of China, a shapeshifter from the planet Kakaranathara arrived in the form of a mighty dragon. He slumbered for centuries, awakening periodically to plague mankind. The Chinese named him Fin Fang Foom, he whose limbs shatter mountains and whose back scrapes the sun. Egypt became the next pivotal locale in human development. As a scientist frustrated by his era's complacency, visited from the 31st century, becoming the ruler Ramatut, he would later play several key roles in Earth history under numerous guises. He was eventually succeeded by Unsaba-Nur, the mutant who helped Imhotep repel a brood invasion before eventually embracing a new identity as the tyrannical Apocalypse. Later, under the reign of Ramses II, a court wizard named Anath-Namut happened upon a temple of unknown origin. Inside, the mystical Ka-stone imbued him with vast superhuman powers and immortality. Imhotep subsequently banded together Earth's greatest thinkers to form the Brotherhood of the Shield. As the Sphinx, he eventually ascended to cosmic status. Secret organizations began to take shape around the world. The mystical martial arts enclave known as the Chaste was founded to combat the ninja clan called the Hand, worshippers of the ancient beast. Seeking to father a son whose power would be derived both from Asgard and Earth, Odin mated with Gaia to give birth to Thor or Odinson. In Rome, former Emperor Romulus Augustulus, also known as Tyrannus, was kept vital by the Fountain of Youth. He discovered a class of former deviant slaves and claimed rule over their realm, Subterranea. When a celestial's impending childbirth threatened Earth, Zhang Heng of the Brotherhood of the Shield arranged for it to give birth in the sun instead. In England, Arthur Pendragon founded the fabled kingdom of Camelot with the help of Earth's newest sorcerer supreme, Merlin. The two men were frequently opposed by Arthur's half-sister, Morgan Le Fay, whose magics rivaled Merlin's own once she collected Chthon scrolls into the tome called the Darkhold. One of Camelot's greatest champions was Sir Percy of Scandia. As the Black Knight, Percy wielded the Ebony Blade, a mystic sword crafted by Merlin from a fallen meteorite called the Starstone, which could deflect magic and cut through nearly any substance. Centuries later in Europe, a nobleman named Esteban Corazon Diablo promised his soul to the demon Mephisto in exchange for the secrets of alchemy. Using his newfound skills, Diablo drew from the blood of vampires to create the elixir vitae, key to immortality. When Earth was visited by the third host of Celestials, the godlike giants unintentionally garnered the worship of some of humanity, drawing power away from Earth's pantheons. Confronted by representatives of the Council of Godheads, Odin, Zeus, and Vishnu, the third host negotiated a 1,000-year truce of non-interference. To prepare for the Celestials' eventual fourth host, which would judge humanity, Odin created the Destroyer, an invincible suit of armor imbued with power by the Council of Godheads. In Asia, the Mongol Empire evolved into the secret society known as the Atlas Foundation. Each Atlas leader, bent on world domination, was a descendant and rightful heir to Genghis Khan, whose bloodline continued into the 21st century. Diablo was not the only alchemist to trade with demons. In Italy, the sorcerer Belasco attempted to enable the Mabara demons to cross into our dimension, in return gaining great magical power and near invulnerability and immortality, but cursed with a demonic appearance. In the mystic city of Kamartaj, in the area now known as Tibet, two men, Yao and Kalu, explored the secrets of sorcery. In time, Kalu turned on his people, and Yao barely managed to defeat him. Yao thereafter dedicated his life to the study of magic, ultimately becoming Earth's sorcerer supreme. Eternity granted him the all-seeing artifact called the Eye of Agamotto, and Yao eventually became known as the Ancient One. Prince Vlad Dracula of Transylvania paid for his ruthless persecution of the Turkish people when a Romani woman transformed him into a vampire. This did nothing to abate his violent nature. In time, Dracula enhanced his own blood with that of Varnai, giving him far greater powers than any other vampire. Galaxies away, having turned to inhabited worlds to consume, I was openly defied for the first time by a brave soul, Norin Rad, of the planet Zenla. In exchange for sparing Zenla, Rad agreed to leave forever and serve as my herald, seeking out other worlds to sustain me. Imbuing him with a small fraction of my cosmic power, I transformed Rad into the Silver Surfer. Begun in England as an elite social group, the Hellfire Club progressed into a worldwide organization that wielded vast political and economic influence. In America, following the Revolutionary War, the first Inner Circle members were assigned the titles of chess pieces, its leaders kings and queens. Originally a purely human group, the Hellfire Club was slowly infiltrated and conquered by various superpowered mutants. After Londoner Nathaniel Essex lost his young son to birth defects, he dedicated his life to biological and genetic experimentation in hopes of perfecting the human race's evolution. Essex's mentor, Apocalypse, used mutant genetic material to evolve Essex into superhuman form. In young America, lawlessness swept across the western frontiers. A number of gunslingers, among them Kid Colt, the Rawhide Kid, the Two-Gun Kid, and the Ghost Rider, took up the challenge of protecting the weak and innocent. North, in Alberta, Canada, The wealthy John and Elizabeth Howlett parented a son. The frail boy James Howlett was unaware that his true father was their abusive groundskeeper, Thomas Logan. Despite his weak and timid childhood, James would grow up to become fierce and strong beyond imagining.